So Harsha, I muted your microphone because it was making some strange noises, but it seems to be silent now, so I'll leave you unmuted. So hopefully we'll have Vara soon. Ah, there's Vara. Hi, Vara.
It looks like I could log in, Auntie. Give me 2 minutes, I'll be back.
Yep. Ah, Joyanne. So nice.
Hi, Joyanne. Hi, Vara.
Vara's gone to do something for a minute.
Oh, okay.
So I'll just ask Fikil again. If it is your first time, Fikil, let us know, or otherwise you can ask any questions that if you find something you're not quite getting at what we're on about, then feel free to send us a message. I see you haven't actually got the microphone there, so the message at the bottom strip, you can also ask there. Oh, it looks like there might be a message there. Oh, hi, Joyanne. So Fikul, yeah, please put in the chat, what's your situation, because we don't want to sort of confuse you about this meditation. We want to get you connected properly.
And if this is your first time for Q, which is fantastic, we can point you to that direction as well, so it's not too much for you today. So feel free to type in a message to Lynn. She's very good at responding very quickly.
Yeah, so if it does go a bit over your head, Fikil, don't worry, because we can point you in the direction of an explanatory session. For instance, Monday, we have beginners as well as people who've been coming regularly. So that might be just a good one to catch you up, get you up to speed if you haven't been before. But if you have and you're just joining us from having attended another group of daily meditation sessions, then most welcome, most welcome.
And Harsha, I hope you'll be able to continue meeting up online with all the 21 days and their intermediates and your local collective online meditations. So hope there's enough to keep you busy.
Yeah, Harsha's going to join us on the Wednesday nights as well.
Since November, yesterday was one day that I haven't attended any meetings of any kind.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're so...
Until yesterday, every day there was a meeting here or the New York group and so on and so forth. I've been taking all these courses. Perpetual student,
Yeah. No, it's really good because everyone does add something different. So there's always another aspect or another flavor of your meditation, and you can't go wrong with the more the merrier, so to speak. So it is a good daily meditation just to put on some session that's on. But tell me, did you try your meditation by yourself when you didn't join one? Because that's also a relevant thing, that you can just sit down and go into thoughtless awareness without any outside interference, and your Kundalini will just take you there. Did you find that at all, Harsha?
Well, I try twice a day,
Oh,
once in the
okay.
morning and once before I go to bed.
Yep.
But I can't say I have progressed very much. I seem to do it, but I don't see any effect.
Okay, so maybe for this new stage that I'm going to suggest in a little while, when we reach our everybody's here and we can chat a bit more, but that might be something for you as well. Because giving realization to someone else is also we increase our vibrations that way as well. So this is my plan for everyone. So we'll talk a little bit about that just now before Vara takes us off into the Sahasrara, which is the only place to go, really.
Or even if you just listen to Shrimataji's talk while you're trying to meditate, Harsha. So you put on a talk of Shrimataji and then try and go into meditation. And usually the talk takes you away from things that are bothering you, and then you can find that quietness within yourself. That's another thing you could try.
Okay, I'll do that.
Of course, you do get a small excerpt in each of the sessions that are on of Srimataji's talks, and that also gives you a taste of the vibrations of her talks, which do take you into thoughtlessness. But also listening to a longer talk as well. So you really have to concentrate at Sahasrara, so to speak, but it does take you there. And certainly today's about 20 minutes, the excerpt that Vara's got for us, and that'll really take you thoughtless because it's impossible to think about. The subject is so deep. It's difficult to grasp in your mind, so the only place to go is thoughtless. So it'll be really interesting. Looks like that musical segment is finished there, so I think that might be appropriate to put on another musical segment, which is, let me see, I think I've got a nice Mozart section here somewhere. Let me see if I can find that. Oh, no, we don't want to hear that repeat of myself saying something. Just find that. So this might be nice. This is some Mozart being played by some yogis in Russia, actually.
Nice.
Yeah. So let's get that happening. Oh, it's not playing. Doesn't want to play. We'll have this Ave Maria. How about that? You hear that?
Not yet, Lynn.
Oh. Coming now?
I can't hear anything unless Harsha can.
It's coming. It's coming.
Oh, good. Okay.
So do you want to have a chat in the beginning, Lynn?
Yeah, I will. Hi, Vara, you're back.
Oh, yeah.
I will turn that music down now, but we'll save that for later.
Sounds good.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, I was
Vara.
expecting
Nice to
some.
see you.
I was expecting some judgments on my appearance, but
Oh no, nice to see your face. You have a face.
that face.
Welcome everyone. I see Joanne is there and Madhu is there. Vara, don't worry, Fikil is there, but he's not able to communicate with us yet. So he'll just be there. That's
Okay.
fine. Most welcome. But we'll explain to him anything he doesn't understand later, if this is in fact his first time here. But we haven't been able to communicate yet. Now,
And do you know if it's a he or a she?
Yes, I know. No. I've assumed a he, but I could be totally wrong. It might be a she. Fikile or Fikil? My apologies, Fikil, for misrepresenting you in any way. So the big thing that I've been giving Harsha a heads up about is that when we, so this is our last Thursday advanced session for a month, and we've got Mondays, so I do encourage you all to join in on Mondays. Now, Mondays is advertised on our regular calendar, as well as our 7 series prompts, as beginners and regulars. Now, you all are the regulars, but we also invite beginners, and sometimes we have beginners. And I would like to encourage you to just see how you would give realization to someone. So this is kind of the next step. So, and surprisingly, you might think, oh, I'm not feeling vibrations strongly enough, or, oh, I don't think I could do that. But the very act of your desire to awaken the Kundalini of someone else, that gives you such a boost in your vibrations. So don't back away from the idea. And then, you know, when you've been watching for a while and you feel confident, I won't just bung you in there without any prior knowledge, but you can give the realization part and give it a go and just see the experience is really good. And in fact, one of the last Guru Pujas that Srimataji was speaking to us all in Italy in 2001 maybe, or no, might have been later than that. But she did make us all promise to give realization to, it started off being 1,000, and I think we whittled it down to at least 100 each. So, you know, some of us, we need to get a wiggle on, because if we want to do at least 100 realizations, we need to start now. So that's my talk about that. So see you on Mondays, and you can just have a look the different ways you can give realization, and even just getting an idea how to do it. You know, the vibrations and the different chakra combinations of good chakras, bad chakras, damage or wonderful things that are going to inspire and enlighten each other on at different energy centers. You can go with what you feel. And even like some of the videos we've played of Sri Mataji giving realization to big halls and to people in smaller environments, she does it a different way every time. So think about that as well, that you just, if you feel an idea to do something, sometimes you just go with it and you find it was the right thing. So sometimes the first thought is divine, the second and third is our ego or superego jumping in. So that is just something I'm forewarning that you can think about during this next month while you're attending the Monday nights. And then we were talking about Wednesday nights being an ashram collective meditation, online ashram. And, you know, maybe we'll come back in May with our ashram series at, you know, this time on Thursdays again in May. So that's also a possibility. But also anything you think of and that you want to incorporate when we resume after our April holiday from Thursdays, then that's also fine to give that info, because we're all in this together. Let's just put it that way. I see Vara's gone to answer the door, so we can look very nicely at that lovely painting of vibrations he's got there. So was there anything else anyone wanted to share or ask about Or should I give you a month's homework to do? Vara's back just in the nick of time before I gave you all a month's homework.
Lucky.
Lucky for you all.
Yeah.
I think, the homework you gave already is quite a good one. It's probably the only homework which gives joy when you do it.
Yeah, true.
On passing the word. So I'm just jumping in, but I was thinking, when you give realization or you ask people, I think if the emotion is that, when you do charity kind of thing, give $5 and you feel good about yourself, that's probably not the right emotion. The right, I was listening to some speech where Srimataji says, when you give something, and it's part of your sort of ego, oh, I was able to give. It doesn't mean anything. But if you give because it hurts you so much that the other person is not all right, it's part of you. It's sort of a selfish enterprise. When you are doing because you can't handle it. If somebody not, let's say someone, you really like them and love them and all that. If they're in trouble and then you help them, but then they'll be in trouble again. You can't go on helping them because that's quite, you're not teaching the person to feed themselves.
Yeah.
And when they are not well, if it hurts you so much, then this is the best thing to do. It's a little bit hard to explain, yeah, but I guess you understand what I mean. It's not one of those things where Bill Gates comes and says, I gave $200 billion. That doesn't really mean anything. It's just more of an ego trip. But if you see, like, this person I really love and it really hurts me that they're not being their best self, talking about Sahaja Yoga and giving them realization is probably the best gift you can give and best gift they can get.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't thought about it. It just came out. If I think more, I think I can articulate better.
So maybe the analogy is, instead of giving them a fish every time, give them a fishing line so they can actually fish themselves when they need to.
That's it. And you make them independent. That's the thing. You make them totally self-sustained, independent. I guess it'll line up with the speech today.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, over to you in fullness.
In fullness.
Sarah?
Okay.
I'm going to on off video myself, just as we're not going to distract.
Let's take Bandhan first.
Oh, Farah, also, whenever you want music or the video on, let me know and I'll pop it on for you.
Yep. So let's take Bandhan. So I think this is the final part of the creation speech. And in the end, Sri Mataji says basically, this is not all important. The important thing is you got your self-realization. And I was wondering why she said that. And then the thing that I thought is, the things that she explains are so complex. It is probably okay to not understand everything in the speech that you're going to listen. The takeaway, the only two things that I took away from that speech are, God has created the world, and it is extremely complex. And when you take the literal meanings of things, you probably get the wrong end of the stick. In the speech, Mataji talks about, the only thing that I thought I could tell the full story is she talks about how about the first incarnation of God on earth is in the form of a fish. It's called Matsya in Sanskrit. It's called Matsya Avatara. So the story goes like this. So as you've been listening into the previous parts of the speech, the Adishakti and Sri Shiva they're like the idea comes from them. Without their desire, nothing else exists. And then you have Shri Brahma. So Brahma's role is creation, in the sense of, the bit nuts and bolts of it. My interpretation is, this is the humankind should be like this, and the human should have, four limbs, and then all that evolution. And then Sri Vishnu's job is the sustenance, preserving what Sri Brahma has created. So and there is something precise I read, which says there are 4 yugas or epochs: Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. Apparently, each yuga is one single day for Lord Brahma, and it is equal to 4,320 million years, human years. And I don't know how they calculated that, but that's besides the point. So it so happens that Sri Brahma wrote something called the Veda, and then there used to be a demon who stole those Vedas when Lord Brahma was going for a rest. And then he went into the base of the ocean. And now then it becomes Sri Vishnu's problem, because he's responsible for preserving the whole thing. So then Sri Vishnu thought, oh, what do I do? And then he thought of this person on earth who is they call him different names, and different storybooks give different names. The one that I can pronounce is called Satyavrata. So he has this intense desire to keep the world going. To get the darshan, or get the vision of Sri Vishnu. So Vishnu, so this person was praying, and then there was a fish that was saying, this is our Matsya Avatara. So the fish was saying, hey, save me, save me. And then he puts the fish in a little bowl. And then the next morning, oh, it's too small for me. The fish has grown. And then he puts it in a river. And then the other day, it's too small for me. And he puts it in an ocean. And then it becomes huge. It takes half of the ocean. And the fish says to Satyavrata, the world is going to come to an end. You go get the flora and fauna and come and board the ship. And, your relatives and that sort of thing. And then don't forget to get the snake avatara, which is, I forgot the name. I could actually tell. Because these names are kind of fun. I have to refer to the story all the time. Anyway, I probably can't get. Wait a second. Oh, they're just referring it to the snake god. So it brings the snake, a shape inside which everything is there. And then this second part of the other side of the fish occupies the ocean, and the fish goes and kills this Hayagriva who is hiding in the ocean. So, and gets the Vedas back, the main books of Brahma. And then And then they brought the fish. The fish says to Satyavrata, use that snake to, and the fish develops a horn, by the way, and use that snake to tie the horn to the ship, and then they are saved. So from one yuga to other yuga, the humankind is saved. And remember the snake, and there is snake in almost every culture. They use the snake. So then you think about it, you're like, okay, nice story. What's the big deal? That's one question that could get. The other thing that is referred in speech is none of this is happenstance. It doesn't happen because randomness or something like that. So every incarnation was completely envisioned by the creator. So it's not just there is amoeba and it just so happens that amoeba had the right temperature and it becomes this. It so happened that the chimps felt like walking with their head up. So, and in this speech, Mother says that all this is properly envisioned, so appreciated. And coming back to this story, there are so many things you can take away. One is, why did God say the snake should be used? Why didn't God say, get a nylon rope from the shops? Go to Bunnings and get nylon rope. Something like that. You can always pick holes in it, but that is not the point. And picking holes is actually, I think it's also part of the human ego, where we need to put God in the center, but somehow we manage to put ourselves in the center, in the sense that I have a black belt in karate, or somebody will say. So instead of saying I have been given this black belt, the person says I have a black belt. So you're just removing God from the center and you put your own ego. Everything you can relate to that. If you have a job, I'm a CEO of this. No, somebody put you as a CEO there. Sure, you might think you work hard and so on, but a million people work hard. But why were you put there? So then when you start putting God into the middle of our thinking, to start with, it's a very, very good thing is you don't feel stressed. If you're not doing all these things, where does the stress come from? It just doesn't exist. And I feel when Shrimataji is explaining this creation talk, she is helping us to understand that it's an extremely complex enterprise. And God has solved all that stuff for us. All we have to do is put God in the center. And coming back to this story, talking about the nylon rope, there is a purpose why this snake has been mentioned. And interestingly, the Kundalini is the snake. We have this 3.5 coil snake. And what does it say? So this Satyavata bloke and his progeny and in all the flora and fauna he got it. They are the only ones that move to the next yuga or the epoch by taking the help of that snake. So could we be well served when we think, unless you take that step of being aware and using your self-realization in your evolution, you have some hope in surviving this world. So I read it like that. And there is similarly, this, you probably, if you have a bit of reading habit, you might be thinking, did Vara change the names and talk about, I forget, there's another story, right, with the ship and so on. Lynn, do you know that story?
No.
It's set in the West, right? The ship.
The Noah's Ark.
Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
It's very similar. And then if you look at the Christianity, you have the Adam and Eve. Oh, this lady Eve, God asked her to eat apple, and then the snake told her, and then she ate the apple. The women are bad. This is one perspective here, and that's why they are not given enough visibility in the in the religion. And you would think it's nonsense, because so what will happen? You don't eat apple, you sit there and stay in the garden as two people. What's the fun there? So one way to think about it is, the snake, again, the snake comes. It's like, oh, the snake is saying, you know, you got the free will. God gave the free will. Otherwise, God could have just made us machines. And then perhaps maybe Eve was saying, we should put God in the middle. And probably Adam thought, that's no fun. I want to be in the middle. And then there starts the mess. So we can always read these stories in the right perspective. And I feel you only have a chance of getting the right perspective when you're self-realized. So I carefully said you have a chance. Having self-realization doesn't automatically give you that kind of thinking. We still need to do introspection. And by listening to Shrimataji's speeches, it sort of connects. I think if you don't have your self-realization and just listen to Shrimataji's speech, like random, like these internet gurus, it's like, oh, the wind is blowing, the sun is shining, God is great. Yeah, I'm eating my food, I'm great too. What's the big deal? It's so you have those kind of one-liner statements. And without self-realization, I think Shrimataji's speeches wouldn't really appeal. Only after self-realization, when you're listening to the speeches, it's probably a point or two that you really connect. So please make that as a habit, and try and understand with your own life experience what is Shrimataji saying, and what can you pick what points can you take away from that. Another one in the speech, I wanted to say that, if you don't, I find it, I've listened to creation speech a few times. I find it a little bit hard to grasp all the aspects, and that's okay, because clearly I can't really understand God's game. Not supposed to be, probably. So yeah, please listen to that speech with that sort of perspective, and keep listening to speeches. Probably Lynn mentioned, somehow Shrimataji's speech, it really depends on what you are going through your life at this point, and then you'll take something away from a part of that speech that Shrimataji is trying to explain. So it's not like one of those things where you just listen to it and say, okay, I know everything. It's mostly your life experience at this instance and the perspective from which you listen. Let's put both our hands on the lap. Raise your kundalini with the hand on top of the head. Press your fontanelle bone a little bit. Try and get your attention to the top of the head. Let the attention stay. In your heart, you can say, Shrimataji, please help me retain my attention on top of my Sahasrara. Shrimataji, please come into my Sahasrara. Mother, please keep me in the center so I can absorb and imbibe your teachings in the speeches. Mother, please shine the light of my spirit in my brain. Slowly bring your hand back on the lap. Attention still on Sahasrara. If our head is too noisy, let's request Sri Mataji to give us peace. Let's just get comfortable with the silence within and without. Then if you can play the speech when you're ready.
Worked out so carefully, so delicately, one after. We have to now jump to the evolution part because you see it's a very long thing. Huh? So now we have to come to the most important part, which is evolution, which we should understand because we know evolution through science. When these three forces came into being, before creating any earth or before creating this universe or anything, first they had to draw out a proper picture about it and a proper understanding of it. You see, as before doing anything, say we have to plan out things, we have a planning commission. First of all, we sit down with the planning commission. In the same way, first they had to form a stage where they just plan out the things. This stage we can call it as the Vaikuntha state. Because this is not the earliest state. This is created later on. First, the planning state is known as the Vaikuntha state. At this stage, they created all the incarnations. Incarnations were not created after the earth has been created, which is a very wrong idea. They created all the incarnations at the Vaikuntha state, where you and I never existed at that time. This earth never existed. And nothing existed that you see with your naked eyes now. But a state of existence, the first one known as the Vaikuntha state, existed. In that Vaikuntha state, the planning of the whole universe and the whole cosmos and all that was decided. So the first person who had to come on this was Shiva, because without him nothing can exist. But where to settle him down? Because he is to be reflected onto something. If Shiva has to be reflected onto someone, you have to create a reflector. So they had to first think of the one primordial being or one huge identity, you can call it, known as Virat. They created Virat. This will be the Virat. This will be the complete form of the primordial being. This is the one I'm telling you about, this reflector, the first one. The God Almighty has to be reflected. So first let us create, first of all, the primordial being, the Virat. In the Virat, they created different incarnations. Incarnations are not created from human beings. I don't know why people think like that. They cannot be created by human beings, but they were first created. You see, evolution is all right from amoeba to human beings, but there is no evolution for incarnations. They are made like that from the very beginning. The as you have seen in the Virat, I have shown you the picture of the Virat. The three powers of Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, and Mahasaraswati met at the Agya Chakra. And there they produced 2 children each. It's not a story, it's a fact, again. As brothers and sisters. And these brothers and sisters means the relationship is of a temporary nature, but of a subtler temperament. And then they were married. Intercommunication took place. Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati, and Mahakali created altogether 6 children who were married. Intermarriage took place. By that intermarriage, they got an entity which was a male kinetic personality and a potential energy with it. Such a combination. And they placed those incarnations on different chakras. They brought from the top, all of them were brought from the Agya downward and placed all the chakras. These incarnations, as you know, are placed on different chakras of the Virata. Many people won't understand this and won't like to hear this also, because human beings are so egoistical that they cannot understand that there is, if a God who is almighty, who is going to do everything, he has his own ways of doing it. Now, whether I am telling the truth or not, you can verify it through vibrations. You can see for yourself how incarnations were created. And all these incarnations were placed in the Virata state. Here, to create the reflection on the other side, Shiva was removed from the Shakti as it was removed in the beginning. And it was placed on top of the Virata's head as the Sadashiva's Pitha. In the same way, we too have a Sadashiva's Pitha on our head. You see, we are the reflection of the reflector. So we too have the same style. We too have a Sadashiva Pitha on our head. He is also placed here only. But when the Kundalini enters into the being, when he is in the womb of the mother, that time this Sadashiva Pitha, or we can say Sadashiva from this Pitha, descends into the heart. And that's how you hear the first throb in the heart. It is just the same as it happened in the Virata. But at the Vaikuntha stage, this was not created. The second reflector was not created. Only the first one. So only the Virata was created. And in his being, in the planning stage, first of all, these officers, you can say, in charge of these chakras were created by Adishakti. God is the witness, and she is doing the play, and she creates those chakras. In the chakras, she places all these deities to govern. Now, there is the existence, there is the creative force, and there is the evolutionary force, all inside the Virata state. Now, this is at the Vaikuntha state, we say, because this state is on this first reflection. It is not in us. or we cannot feel it, the Vaikuntha state, because it is in the first state. Then another state was created, then third was created, then the fourth one is the Bhavasagara, is the state at which all of us were born. First, in the fourth state, now can you think of a 4-strata personality which is facing a mirror? Now, which is the first one shows is the topmost, and that's why the topmost shows is the Bhavasagara. But if you can go deep down into your state, you can feel all the other three. But first of all, the one which you can see and feel it is the Bhavasagara. So you are born in the Bhavasagara. At this state, you are at the Bhavasagara state. At this Bhavasagara state, now you are created and you have to evolve. At this time, the Mahalakshmi power acts to evolve you. You already know how evolutionary things have taken place. But I will tell you how evolution has taken place according to our Puranas, and which is a fact. The evolution of man started first from the amoeba, you can say, because the life came into being into water. As I told you, first the water was created. In the water, the amino acids were formed, amoeba were formed, fishes were formed. And fishes, when they were formed, they found, the smaller fishes found it difficult to exist because of the bigger fishes were trying to eat it. It comes as a reciprocal thing. They were absolutely fed up of this destruction that was going on. At this time, Sri Vishnu himself, the one who is the evolutionary force, descended on this earth as the Matsyavatara. He helped some of the fishes to cross across the shores. By crossing across, they had that courage. He was the leader. And then others started crossing across. This was the first evolutionary stage which we know. These fishes became reptiles later on, as you know, in the evolutionary stages, that they became reptiles. But how did they become reptiles? There must be someone who must have given them the lead. It was again Sri Vishnu, who came on this earth as a Kurma. And lots of things were done at this time in the Vaikuntha stage. Before he came on this earth as a Kurma Avatara, at the Vaikuntha stage, when they created this earth, when they planned this whole Virata and wanted to create on this side of the reflector, the whole planning and the whole thinking and all that process brought forth some sort of a waste matter. It brought forth the waste matter. This waste matter got contaminated, or you can say got stagnated onto one side, which was neglected somehow. And through it started coming out some satanic forces. And there was a big fight between the satanic forces and the good forces. It actually happened in the third stage, not at the Vaikuntha stage, but at the third stage. Because when the planning started, the working out started, these satanic forces started working out. Now people may say, why God created satanic forces? He did not. But eventually, they turned out to be. Because at the second stage, when some of the devas who were created, again they were not evolved people, they were created devas in charge of all these elements and all the working. You see, you have to create also officers or people who have to go in the field and work out. All these devas and devatas, out of their working, what happened? That they got lost, some of them, and became satanic forces. Sort of a waste product came in. And with that waste product, satanic forces started. And they acted in such a way that there was a war during the Kurmavatara between Rakshasas and the Suras, as they call it. So the good people who were in charge of the elements, all the working in the office of God, started fighting with the satanic forces. At that time, he himself worked out this, and you know what happened in the Amrut Manthan which took place. And this is, people don't understand how can Amrut Manthan take place in the Bhavasagara. It did not. It took place at a stage which is not Bhavasagara. At the Bhavasagara, it did not take place. Now we are at the Bhavasagara state. At the Bhavasagara state, the same Kurma, the same one took birth and came on this earth and gave us a understanding how to become a proper reptile. Like that we grew up. So the whole thing will take too much time. I did not go into that. But ultimately, a human being was created. All this is done by Mahalakshmi power, which has acted through Vishnu, which I have told you how the evolution has taken place, how you are made. Now what is going to happen? You reach this point, up to this point, till Christ came in. Christ was also an incarnation, and his mother was nobody else but Radhaji herself, the Mahalakshmi. And they brought forth up to this stage the human beings. After this, now what man has to become is to enter into a state where he becomes nirvichar. Means there is no more the consciousness of the Bhavasagara, but you go little beyond it. From this stage, you dive into a state of universal unconscious, as they call it. Is nothing but the same power which exists here, which is a synthesis of all the three powers. Is the synthesis of all the three powers. That is the Adi Shakti's power. Adi Shakti's power is all pervading, exists everywhere, but we never feel it otherwise. Why? Because we are very grossly placed. We can say that a tube which has got, say, 4 layers, out of which it can only use the outer tube because the inner tubes are all closed. When the innermost tube is opened out, you become absolutely self-realized. But when even the second tube is opened out, you can feel the all-pervading force of God Almighty, which is, we call it as Sarvavyapi Achetan. But it is no more Achetan for you because you are conscious of it. That is how you start your dialogue with God. What happens is that here, the reflection here, the reflector, the reflected word, from here you ascend into this part. You ascend onto this part. You do not become this, but you ascend into this area. From here you ascend into this area, and this area is filled with the all-pervading power of Adi Shakti. Till you reach to this stage, you have to go up to the stage of an incarnation, which of course is a big gap, but I can say that Mahavira and Buddha, both of them rose to that height. But look at their disciples. For example, Buddha's disciples. They have decried Shiva, they have decried all the gods and goddesses. I mean, as if they did not know much about it. And the way they have shown in certain statues that a goddess is standing on top of a Shiva and a Parvati and is trying to kill, she's hitting Ganesha. And this is something so nonsensical. I mean, they completely kill the image of one united force acting the whole thing in one united ideas, with one united mind. Only whenever they have not united, they became Rakshasas and formed a satanic force. As I told you, it's a very, very difficult subject, and I have tried to handle it in English, is even worse. So I've tried my level best to do it. But still, if you have any questions, anything, you can ask me sometime. You can write to me. We can find it out. Tomorrow, now this is the only thing is I wanted to tell you about is that now you have got thoughtless awareness, no doubt. Most of you have got thoughtless awareness, you have got vibrations, but you have to jump into Nirvikalpa. And that you have to jump through deep meditation and through deep exposure. Otherwise, you see, it is no use only having this little stage of Nirvichara. You have to jump into Nirvikalpa. That is a stage, little, as I told you here, that a little ahead of this reflector you have moved. But still you are going up and down, so many of you. This is a state known as Satori in the Zen system of religion. They call it as Satori, where you see person is going up and down, is catching, doing this, that. This stage has to be overcome. Then you go to the Nirvikalpa state. At the end of the Nirvikalpa state, you just don't catch much. You are not bothered. So far, I haven't met any human being like that. You see, I have seen very great saints and realized people. And I can say that they are definitely self-realized. They are even controlling nature. Some of them do. But still they catch on their chakras. It's something surprising. But see, human beings are like that. They go on catching, and again, perhaps they jump into the third stage of self-realization completely, but they are again in a Satori state and they come back and go back and like that, maybe. But I have seen that so far I have not met one human being whom I will say is fully self-realized who doesn't catch. Except for me, I find everybody is catching. It's most surprising. But when you don't catch, what happens? When you don't catch. Actually, this is a state rather difficult to achieve. But if you don't catch, if you think you don't catch, how you should do it is to see this way, that if supposing you are catching Agya, maybe you must know that when you are catching your Agya, you should not think you are catching your Agya, but you should think that you are gathering a force here to combat the other person. If you can do like that, supposing you are catching on a Vishuddhi chakra, instead of thinking that you are catching on Vishuddhi chakra and getting upset about it, if you start thinking that this is a force you are accumulating just to counterbalance his Vishuddhi chakra, then I think it will work out better. That's why I always say that extend your hands to others and see for yourself. This has helped many people, because if they catch an Agya and if they give vibrations to somebody who is Agya caught, they find they are released. Such things are happening to very few, but it's happening. So this is what you can try. That don't think you are catching, but you should think a force has been accumulated to expel the Agya of another person who is facing. In the beginning, of course, it's a very, very slow process, but gradually you can do it. And only people who start giving others. This is a collective thinking. Is a collective thinking. That supposing now you can say like that if supposing there is a malaria attack on me, then my own blood cells are trying to combat it, and they are combating it. You see, if I give in, then I become malarious. But if I do not give in, I become victorious. In the same way, if you could think this way while giving vibrations, that if you catch, it is actually a force being accumulated into you, and then you have to give it, then you are going to be much faster than all the munis put together, I can tell you. But that thinking is rather difficult for human beings, because once they catch it, they get a little worried. I'm catching, they start taking out their own. If you don't take out your own and go all out to give it to others, it will work out better. And this has been, I have experimented with 1 or 2 people, I'm saying, and it has worked. Everybody does not have that capacity. So gradually you rise, because you are just now newly born. You are still to grow. You have to grow more. You might be learning. You might be knowing a lot. That doesn't mean. As far as the spirituality is concerned, you have just come out of your Satori state, some of you, and some of you are still in the Satori state. So be careful about it. I would like to meet you again, perhaps after 2 years, I don't know when. Tomorrow we are having a meditation here. Then I won't speak much. Tomorrow we'll have meditation. But we have a meditation center here where you should go and meet. When you meet in a group, when it is a samuhik, is a group activity, I will be there. You will be surprised that my vibrations cannot be felt anywhere so much as they can be felt in a group about which I know that such a such group is working here. So we have already 3 groups which are working in Delhi, and they are made quite closer to your places. After all, we must know that we don't have to go to Himalayas as people went down. We don't have to do all these things. Only thing we have to go is a place which is very much closer to us. It has been brought to our doors. The whole thing has been brought to your doors. The knowledge, the vibrations, the realization, and everything is made so easy. It's made easy done, but it should not mean that we should take it for granted. It has been made easy through a very great tapasya on my part, I should say. In many ages, I've been living now for thousands of years, and I've been working it out on so many human beings and so many things, and at long last, I've been able to find out most of the permutations and combinations of most of the human beings, and that's how it has been worked out in such a large mass scale. It would not have been possible if I had not worked it out that way. And that's how, if it has worked out, it has to click with most of the people, except for one type, is very, very difficult, I must say, those who are bound to people who are Rakshasas. If they are born Rakshasas and if your head has touched their feet, it's a very difficult thing. So I would warn you that before you touch feet of anybody, you be careful about it. May God bless you all. It's already very late for all of you, and such a difficult subject to brought into such a short time is very difficult. But if I hope to write some book on Sahaja Yoga. I hope I'm saying, because so far I've never written any book. Trying to write some book, but before that some other people are writing. I hope I may be able to write something. In any case, you try to not to bother too much about these things. This is not so important as your own realization and your own ascent. The whole knowledge will be dawned upon you. You don't have to bother. Every word now you read, you will have a meaning about it, you will understand. The first thing is that you must get your realization. Second thing is you must ascend. You must ascend much more and give more time to this. Do not take it for granted. It is a very important thing which you should do. After all, there are other things, they are important. But this is the most important thing which has to be done. By God's grace, if it works out, I'll be very happy. As it is, I'm extremely happy, because in none of my lives I've been able to give realizations to so many people. So as it is, I'm over-satisfied with myself. But as far as you are concerned, you should not be satisfied. You should ask for more and more and more, and it will be granted. Because you are the people who are on the stage. You are created for this purpose. One has to do it. God has to do it. If he does not do it, he cannot fulfill his own desires, and his creation he is not going to destroy. May God bless you.
Let's keep our eyes closed. Attention on Sahasrara. Mother, please make me a good instrument so I can pass on the love that you have shared with us. Mother, please make me a confident instrument, so I don't feel shy about sharing your love. Let's put our right hand on the center heart. As you know, this is the center where all our unfounded fears are created by the environment that we exist in. So when that happens, we just have to trust that we have Shrimataji in our heart and we are looked after. And when we spread the word about Sahaja Yoga and meditation to others, that love just increases multifold. And it is the only practical way to get rid of at least a little bit of the mess in the society. So Mother, please make me a confident instrument. Mother, please destroy all the unfounded fears that prevent me from doing what is necessary. Mother, please come into my heart. Let's put our right hand on top of the head. Request our Kundalini to stay at our Sahasrara level. And Lynn will play some music, so when you're done, you could raise your Kundalini and leave. And there will be no Thursdays from now on, it will be Monday evening, which Lynn will send links to. Over to you, Lynn.